Good day, my name is Amrita Koshal and this is your main newscast. In the headlines, CARICOM must end silence on absence of full coverage insurance from ExxonMobil as oil spill offshore Guyana could affect entire region according to the TIGI. ExxonMobil to fund egg sandwich project in hinterland region, and Guyana and the EU agree on roadmap to reduce illegal timber trade and improve governance. Meanwhile, Economist says to use oil money to cushion blow from global economic crisis, and Gawa wants more answers on Enmore packaging plant lease. Teen involved in tragic drag racing incident remanded to prison, and man in custody for stabbing brother to death. Sleeping guard reportedly awakened by cutlass. Stay tuned for more details.
Nothing in life is free, but the MyDigiCell app is. You don't need to be on a data plan to use the app. You can conveniently chat with Ruby or an agent for help. Check your account balance, activate a Prime bundle, or gift it to a friend. Send credit. Check the Georgetown and Burpees Bridge schedules. Activate a roaming plan. Play Shake to Win for cool prizes. So don't worry about a data plan, buddy. Download the MyDigiCell app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store today. Digicel, better together.
And now for your news in detail, Transparency Institute Guyana Inc., or TIGI, is just one of the many agencies that has over the years registered concerns about unsettling matters that remain unaddressed as regards to the effective management of the local oil and gas sector. The transparency body is, however, looking to take their advocacy a bit further as it intends to press the Caribbean community on their silence regarding oil and gas matters in Guyana that have the potential to adversely affect the region. TIGI noted that while local authorities here seem to be shunning persons and organizations who criticize their handling of the sector, it is also notable that CARICOM seems not to be focusing on the potential dangers that it too faces where certain decisions are made in the local industry. The transparency body was at the time referencing the contractual agreements made between Guyana, ExxonMobil, and its subsidiary agencies for the pumping of the country's offshore oil reserves. Civil society bodies like TIGI and other concerned parties have highlighted a number of gray areas that include environmental concerns, tax payment concerns, local content concerns, and the sharing of oil profits, among other matters. And in other news, we now tell you as the war between Russia and Ukraine continues into its third week, countries around the world have been grappling with dire economic impacts. In Guyana, however, the situation may be bittersweet. This is so given that the country stands to benefit from the increase in oil prices on a macro level. Budget 2022 had predicted, for example, that the Natural Resource Fund would collect close to $1 billion this year. The government had estimated in February that oil prices would hover around $70 per barrel. However, on account of the Russia-Ukraine crisis, oil prices have soared to $139 a barrel. Up to press time, Brent oil price stood at $109 following a week of fluctuating prices. With respect to the reverse impacts, economist Elson Lowe opined that these are being felt by the ordinary folk, tasked with getting to work via vehicles powered by fuel or even buying themselves a meal, as the trickle-down effects for global transport and manufacturing costs have and will continue to spike in the coming days. The economist said the government should ensure that its citizens benefit from the higher oil prices by ensuring efforts are taken to mitigate costs associated with transportation and food. He said when Guyana originally found oil, the price per barrel was around $50, and most of the planning was centered on this figure. And moving on, among other questions to be asked regarding the leasing of the U.S. multi-million-dollar Enmore packaging plant, the Guyana Agricultural and General Workers Union will seek to ascertain the cost at which the facility will be leased when it meets with Gaisuku next week. Like the rest of the country, Gawu had only learned of leasing discussions after the government announced the same at the Energy Conference Expo held at the Marriott Hotel last month. Arrangements regarding the leased packaging plant to a 52% Guyanese-owned joint venture called Gyson's K&B Industries Inc. to be repurposed to serve some of the oil industry's manufacturing needs is one for public focus, since arrangements surrounding the construction of the facility prior to 2011 was a source of contention. Back then, the building cost had moved from $2 million to a whopping $12 million, more than $2 billion Guyana dollars, when Surendra Engineering out of India was contracted for the job. It was also revealed by the local media fraternity that the facility had not provided that large number of jobs as promised. And moving on, Guyana and the EU on Thursday agreed on a detailed roadmap for implementing the Guyana-EU Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade Voluntary Partnership Agreement, which aims to improve forest governance and verify the trade in legal timber. The aid memoir was signed by Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Barrett and EU Ambassador to Guyana Fernando Ponscanto at the Pegasus Hotel after a meeting with the various stakeholders. He made it clear that the agreement in no way means that the country is cutting down on forest activities, but ensuring that it is done in a sustainable and legal manner. He noted too that Guyana has one of the best forest management systems in the world. And in other stories, oil giant ExxonMobil and its partners, Hess Guyana Exploration Limited and CNOOC, along with Petroleum Guyana Limited, have funded an egg sandwich project in the hinterland region aimed at boosting poultry production at that end of the country. On Friday, ExxonMobil announced that the project, valued over 120 million Guyana dollars or $608,000, was pulled off through the Greater Guyana Initiative. According to the oil companies, quote-unquote, the Egg Sandwich Project is the first regional socio-economic project to be funded by the GGI. It is focused on enabling the hinterland residents to raise their local poultry capacity, thereby enhancing consumer access to high-quality local poultry products and economic independence. In other stories, Region 10 police are currently investigating the unlawful chopping of a 26-year-old security guard, Swain David, of Wismar Linden, which occurred on Thursday around 4:30 while he was on duty at the St. Aidan's Primary School located at Blueberry Hill. According to an official police report, David was sleeping in the guard hut when he felt a chop to the back of his head. The act was reportedly committed by two unidentified males with cutlasses who had allegedly ambushed him and dealt him more chops to his face and hand. He is currently being treated for his injuries at the Georgetown Public Hospital. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 19. We will return with more news for you shortly after the break. And we now return with more news in detail. The teenage driver who was behind the wheels of a speeding Spacio car that killed 3 persons on Monday last was remanded to prison for causing their death by dangerous driving. Matthew Ambedkar, 19 years old, appeared on Friday at the Lenora Magistrate Court before Magistrate Sipal Ali. He was charged with 3 counts of causing death by dangerous driving and was not required to plead to the indictable charge. He is expected to make his next court appearance on March 24th, and according to reports, Ambedkar was the driver of a speeding car that had plowed into a parked SUV and a group of individuals in front of a bar located at De Willem Village on the west coast of Demerara, killing 3 persons. And on that note, we now tell you a brawl on Thursday night between 2 brothers at their home located at 3rd Street, Albertown, ended with one of them being stabbed to death. The deceased has been identified as Moses Anthony and was reportedly killed by his elder brother a little after 21 hours. The suspect has since been arrested and is in custody under investigation. When cops turned up at the scene, the bloodied remains of Moses Anthony were found lying in an alleyway leading to their home. Kaieteur News understands that Moses had been drinking and had arrived home high. He started an argument with his brother over an old grievance they had, and they subsequently began fighting in the house and reportedly ended up in the yard. They stopped for a few seconds, and Moses reportedly walked out to the alleyway where he collapsed and died. Crime scene experts noticed that he bore stab wounds to his chest. When relatives, among them the boy's mother, arrived at the home, they broke down in tears and had to be consoled. And we now move on to your COVID-19 update. The Ministry of Health has recorded 20 new COVID-19 infections, taking the total number of confirmed cases in the country to 63,127. 5 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 11 persons are quarantined institutionally, 9 are in institutional isolation, and 199 in home isolation. Additionally, a total of 61,690 persons have recovered from the virus, while Guyana's COVID-19 death toll remains at 1,224. And we now turn your attention to page 7 of the Kaieteur News, dedicated to being blunt. ExxonMobil agreeing to compensate our fishermen for their losses may seem a negligible development, but we at this publication see it as a small victory. We see it as the beginning of what could be bigger and more meaningful things for Guyanese at the hands of a trusted partner, a genuine partner in a real partnership where all parties flourish. The fact that Exxon can entertain the idea that its operations could impact the livelihood of our fishermen and is prepared to recompense tells us that all is not lost. It is why we must persevere in this struggle with the power of a spirit and the kind of compelling persuasion that will not take no for an answer or which will not be denied. Brothers and sisters, expect more victories in the near future. We are doing our part. You must too. Time check for you, 12 hours 23. My name is Amrita Koshal, and this was your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.
Fellow citizen, Yellowtail the Fort Project can bring about a change that all Guyanese can have a brand new car and a house at the very least in the first few years of this project. But do the leaders care for you enough to do it for us? Brothers and sisters, as the owners of this massive oil wealth, you people are too silent while the foreigners, along with your leaders, are getting richer by the day with your oil. Both governments continue to issue permits from one oil project to another without correcting this highway robbery committed against this nation. Permits for Liza 1, 2, and 3 were given on a platter for the oil companies to continue their thievery of our wealth. Time is running out for the audit of $20 billion from those 3 projects. Brothers and sisters, instead of Vice President Jagdeo focusing on doing the audit that can save Guyana billions of dollars, Jagdeo is running full speed ahead to approve another $10 billion oil project. My fellow Guyanese, Vice President Jagdeo can put a hold on this project and get so much more that Guyana can become the Caribbean Dubai overnight. He can stop Guyana from paying